Driven back into the cryptoverse. If you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel and also check out the Telegram and Discord channels, which you can find in the description below. Today we're going to be talking about Nano. We're going to be looking at some of the recent movements in the price and just kind of put things in perspective. I'm not going to be, these videos are going to be shorter than normal just because I have family in and out right now. So let's just go ahead and jump in. So with Nano, recently, obviously, the price has not been going in a positive direction. If you are, if you're holding it, and we knew this was a potential possibility, and we've discussed it before that everything is ultimately predicated on what Bitcoin is doing, and since Bitcoin has been seeing lower highs and lower lows, then it makes sense that most of the altcoin market is in shambles right now. And so ultimately, we're going to have to wait until Bitcoin figures out whatever it's doing. And if it continues to drop, then most likely Nano will continue to drop. And if Bitcoin starts to go up, maybe some altcoins will, maybe they won't. But a lot of times altcoins really see their heyday once Bitcoin goes up and kind of stabilizes at a certain price for a while, and then altcoins will start making their moves. But anyways, I would still point out that this initial trend that we were in throughout all of 2018 and even going into early 2019, we're out of that long downtrend. We came out into a different region over here, and while it does more or less continue to decrease, I guess the silver lining is that it's not nearly as bad percentage-wise as what we saw in 2018. So if you're just trying to look for the silver lining, I would say that you could argue that Nano is still in and will continue to be in an accumulation phase, and that doesn't mean that price can't go down, doesn't mean that price can't go up, but ultimately we're not going to see any huge bull markets where it's going up several times, most likely until Bitcoin has a huge shift in its momentum. And right now, obviously, the momentum for Bitcoin is not going in the correct direction, but we are hoping that at some point it will find support in whatever region it decides to find support in. So here you can more or less see that this range over here that we've basically been between, I would argue is more of an accumulation region than one of these times. Clearly this is when you see an asset in a trend like this, it's not. You definitely don't want it to be holding large positions. One of the main things like on Wall Street that a lot of people will trust, because a lot of times TA isn't always seen to be that useful by everyone. Obviously, some people will find it useful. But one of the things that a lot of people will accept is that when assets are doing well, they are more likely to continue doing well. And when assets are doing poorly, they are more likely to continue doing poorly than they otherwise would. So at least looking in these momentum shifts in the market, those are more powerful, I think, than looking at things like Fibonacci retracements and that sort of stuff. So ultimately, what needs to happen with Nano is looking at Bitcoin, figuring out what Bitcoin's doing. Now, if we plot Nano versus Bitcoin, it kind of tells a little bit of a different story. We still have that bull market back in 2017, even early 2018. But then we went into this downtrend channel, and we saw a huge drop here. But this was more or less caused by Bitcoin going up, more so than Nano going down at that time. But over here, you can more or less see that we've been in a range of around 10 to the minus 4 for essentially the last 6 months. And as I mentioned, as most people will tell you, it's really important to measure an asset's performance in terms of how well it's doing compared to Bitcoin. Because if its ratio with respect to Bitcoin is more or less unchanged, then it makes sense, and it kind of gives you a different perspective on things. Look at things in terms of Bitcoin as opposed to the U.S. dollar. And if you actually do that, if you get in the habit of only ever viewing things in terms of Bitcoin, it can help you in terms of balancing your portfolio, because ultimately Bitcoin does control the market, and it's just an important metric, I think, to compare any asset against in the cryptocurrency space. Compare it to Bitcoin. You can also compare it to Ethereum, but comparing things to Bitcoin will kind of show you how the momentum is for a specific coin relative to the major market mover. So here, I'm not saying we can't come out of this region, but you can see that we've actually seen lower lows with respect to Bitcoin earlier in the year, or at least sometime after July. So clearly we've been going down recently. If Bitcoin decides to fall off a cliff tomorrow and drops down to say like the 200-week moving average, which is around $5,000, then of course Nano is going to fall. It's going to fall obviously with respect to the price, but it'll probably also fall with respect to Bitcoin, because just altcoins tend to perform poorly when, or I should say, altcoins tend to perform worse when Bitcoin is doing bad. So if Bitcoin's doing bad, altcoins are normally doing worse than what Bitcoin's doing. So again, this is the time, I would say, to if you're in the markets, I would recommend to everyone to own some Bitcoin, just because it's the market mover. If you are going to be invested in altcoins, just make sure you are investing in ones that you really do see a long-term future in, and you're familiar with what they're doing. Don't just go to Reddit and find whatever recent shill you can find, because a lot of times those end up don't panning out. And if you haven't realized that yet, then you'll probably realize it the hard way at some point. So, if you're going to be building positions now in altcoins, you can do so. Remember historically that altcoins tend to perform better once Bitcoin reaches its previous all-time high, and then at the end of its bull run. And then some altcoins also perform well when it, say, enters or holds the 20-week moving average as support, kind of confirming the bull market. So these are just things to consider, and that's not to say that you should not accumulate any altcoins. Coins like Nano, for all we know, 65 cents is going to be the low, or wherever it is right now. I haven't actually looked at the price today, but if it drops further, it drops further. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If you're okay accumulating at these prices, then that's on you. Just figure out what you want to do, where you want to see your portfolio go during this phase. Because when we first started 2019, I was telling most everyone I knew that I thought 2019 was going to be a great accumulation time for cryptocurrencies, and I still stand by that. I think 2019 was a great year to accumulate. I also think 2020 is going to be a great year to accumulate for the long term. I don't think that, we might see breakouts and where you might see, say, 2 or 3x increases or 50% losses. Things like that can still happen. But I don't think the market's really going to start moving until, say, 2021, 2022. So, use this time if you believe in the market, if you believe in cryptocurrency, if you believe in Nano and the instant and free transactions with its block lattice technology, then look at it for the long term. Don't worry about the short-term price movements. That's at least where I stand. If you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on. And again, check out the Telegram and Discord channels in the description below. The Telegram channel has now recently gone over 1,000 members, so it is growing, and we would like to see community members from different, representing different coins there, so we can actually have decent discussions amongst different communities in a respectable manner, rather than just screaming at each other on Twitter or Reddit or whatever it might be. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Bye.